Nori Hashimoto is the referee for our opening match on day 2 here at the HSBC Sydney Sevens. Little Augustine Lugonzo there wearing the brightly coloured headgear for Kenya.
Tony Johnson, let's not forget that both teams finished with a win yesterday, including Russia beat the highly fancied USA last game. Good momentum to go into day 2 with.
So it's Russia who kick off, but it's taken down nicely by the Kenyans. Squirts out on the Russian side, so they're going to get the first crack at it. The Russians, yes, a very dogged, determined team, and someone who exemplifies their effort. The man we were talking about, German Davidov. A little space on the left here as Zhivotov takes it wide. Now they come back the other way. Babayev floating the pass wide. Davidov and German Davidov, the man we were talking about, who put in such a good effort yesterday, gets the first try on day 2 in Sydney.
Well played, Davidov. They stretched them wide to the left and then went all the way to the right. But it was the turnover. Poor technique by the Kenyans. There are no Russians there. It isn't a ruck. It's play on. It's general play. They get the ball back. It goes wide to Davidov. Goes over to the left-hand side. And now it comes back to the right. So they've stretched the Kenyans completely. And Davidov with that headband, the hair flowing, too much pace on the outside. Brilliant start, Russia.
Gets a little pat on his back too from one of the Kenyan players. Nice sporting touch there. Just exemplifies the spirit that Sevens has played. And now a kick from wide out and just away. But that's a cracking start. Here he is, Davidov. Man from Saracens Moscow. Really, this Russian team dominated by players from Saracens Moscow and Kuban, the club on the Kuban River near the Black Sea. Again, sloppy from the restart by Kenya. Zhivotov has it, backs off, and then goes looking for a little space. Can't find it. And fighting for it over the ball was Lugonzo, but illegally so. And so it's all Russia in the early stages.
Kenya are completely asleep. That kickoff, that attempted catch from the restart has caught them unawares. They just don't look like they're ready. That's sometimes a problem in the morning. First game, not up for it, but the Russians sure are.
Well, it is often a determining factor in the tournament. The first game on day 2, and even the best teams sometimes look like they just got out of bed the wrong side. Certainly Kenya does. Conditions shouldn't be a problem for them. Not like they're not used to the heat and the humidity, but
yes,
the Russians, where it's freezing at the moment in their home nation, have started like a little ray of sunshine, that's for sure. Filatov. Here's Babayev, Ilya Babayev fighting down towards the 22. Cleared away by Sukin. Davidov moves it on. Now Kotov, the biggest man of the team, scything through towards the 5. Here's another great chance between the legs from Zhivotov, if you don't mind. Sukin, well, had the chance to throw the big pass wide. Babayev was unmarked. Now Babayev goes in, has to dig it out. Showing good physicality about their game, the Russians in the early stages of day 2. They get a penalty.
It's all Russia. 19 passes completed, 0 by Kenya, and here comes a try.
It is Filatov. Edward Filatov gets the second. Well, there's only one team in it at the moment.
Oh, there's a lot of hands on hips by the Russians. Davidov takes it to the line. Filatov, the simplest of straightening. Have a look at the Kenyans. There's body language. There's hands on hips. You watch, as soon as Filatov scores this great try, like nice angle, all the hands go straight to their hips, trying to blame each other. Attitude problems, Kenya.
Well, I saw one of the Kenyan players looking around at the referee. I'm not sure whether he was querying the try or asking, could we start again, please?
Worried about the penalty, but the simple fact is he dived straight through the ruck and took the receiver. Here's
Sukin. He's the odd one out, if you like. He comes from Siberia. I bet it ain't 32 degrees there at the moment. From Krasnoyarsk, there's Edward Filatov, and that's the scoreline. It's been a horror start to day two for Kenya.
Let's talk about the transformation of Russia. Didn't start the day too well yesterday. Went down to Canada, went down to Argentina, but that last game against the USA, they came from nowhere to beat them. They're incredible. So, and today they've started in that same spirit. So they've maintained the momentum they had at the end of day one.
Sikuta underneath this one. At last, Kenya able to claim a restart. Just haven't had the ball at all. Injera moves it on. Agiro. And Amonde, the captain, who takes the tap quickly. It was a high tackle. Inside their own half. Lugonzo moves it on. Odhiambo, Billy Odhiambo. Can he spark something?
Yeah, they need their senior players to step up here.
Well, he lost that. Yep, referee spotted it. Got some help from his assistant. It just ain't happening for Kenya.
You look across the whole field, their body language is just woeful, but it will take Amonde or Odhiambo or Injera, one of those players, to step up.
Well, the Russians, they performed well in Cape Town earlier on in the series. They picked Samoa to reach the Challenge Trophy semis. They pushed France all the way 12-17. They've served notice, desperate to retain their core status. 14th last year, which was good enough. They want to be there playing every tournament, growing in the game. Nice little loop around from Suki. Now here's Babayev. Bunts his way up towards halfway. Lugonzo, danger of getting offside there. Davidov moves it on. Zhivitov. Well, they control it, as they have for much of this half. Zhivitov. Here's the man who opened the scoring. Davidov. Zhivitov again. A little knock on there.
A little window of opportunity for Kenya if they want to get back into this game prior to half-time, and that'll give them confidence. They need to score from this scrum. But we've already spoken, the Russians, the most efficient tackling team in the comp yesterday.
Important points at stake too. These teams, they'll have their eyes on the 8 points that the winner of the Challenge Trophy, the bottom half of the draw. Those points are priceless. Untidy scrum. But they will reset. Heard the Kookaburra for half-time.
Wonderful initiative. Instead of a hooter, why not have an Australian, one of our fauna emblems? It's the laughing bird, very famous. Google it if you need to.
Set.
Luganzo moves it wide. Odhiambo looking to straighten the attack. Davidov, well, all his mates join in. It's not a maul yet. Hello, we saw this last week. Action replay. The walking maul. Well, Kenya have to get someone else in there surely, otherwise they're going to walk them all the way down to the goal line. They don't want to join in because they don't want it to become a maul.
But if it's half-time, the half's over, he's trying to get his knees to the ground, then he has to be released.
Oh, they've got it. Well, you might have seen that one on YouTube last week in Wellington. History repeats. And now the little chip ahead. No, offside. Got ahead just a bit too keen. That would have been a sensational end to the first half. But it's a penalty, so Kenya will get it.
Who would have thought that a maul would ever get replayed as many times, and that one will again? 7-on-1, it's just not fair.
That one last week, that's the most famous maul in the history of sevens rugby, I think. Mbaka, he really hasn't featured at all. Now Lugonzo tries to inject a bit of pace. Amonde moves it on through the hands, and Jira, well, if anyone can, he can. Turns it back and field. Davidov's there to make the tackle. They smash it on the clean out. They lost it. And, well, Lazarenko thought about the little chip. No, takes it over the half, over the touchline. That's the end. of a very good first half from Russia. They lead Kenya by 10-0.
Numbers there when it matters.
Samuel Oliech has come on. They've made a few changes at half-time, Kenya. Just trying to get things moving. Still not out of this. But they need a wake-up call, and that's not it. That's a roll over and go back to sleep, that is.
That was one of the problems in the first half. The first two restarts from the Russians were both disastrously handled by Kenya.
So, here come the Russians. Good step again from Davidov. What a tournament he's having. Sets it nicely on the 22, and they can swing straight back onto the attack. Moved on by Filatov. Now, Zhivotov. Filatov stayed there and support. Ducks through the first line of defence. Playing with real urgency, getting close to the touchline on the far side. And now Kenya desperately trying to reassemble their defence. Sukin. Lazarenko starts to stride out. The dummy cut. Well, they keep occupying the minds of these Kenyan defenders, who've just had to make countless tackles.
Look at the work they're doing at the breakdown. The clean-outs are so efficient.
Filatov. Now Sukin. Lazarenko. Davidov waiting on the outside. Pushing his way ahead in the tackle. Edging their way inside the 22, and Sukin in for the third try. That is an outstanding start to the second half by Russia.
His eyes were up. He knew where the gap was, but his runner had overrun him. Have a look at that. The defender overran him as well, and Sukin said, well, that's my opportunity. I was just going to distribute. I'll take the chance. Have a look at him. Threw the dummy. Well, he didn't even need to throw the dummy. His runner had taken the defender, and there are too many Kenyans digging away. Sukin, lovely try, which puts them another 5 ahead outside the 2-try range.
So the conversion this time is handy. And Sukin, well, not able to convert his own try. Real commission of inquiry going on in the Kenyan defence. They're all waving arms at each other like traffic officers. But there was a huge hole there. Hole as wide as the Black Sea.
I swear they just met in the car park before they came into the stadium, because at this stage they have no connection. They're not working for each other, the Kenyans. There's still time, but there's got to be a switch to be flicked.
Nice high restart and battered back on the Russian side. 50-50 ball. And, well, a bit of urgency now coming from the Kenyans. But there's always someone there to mop up for Russia. Oh, here they come again. Davidov trying to fend off William Baka. Comes at him again.
Knew he was isolated, bought time nicely.
So Zhivotov will try and extricate himself here. Oliech has to beat the retreat while Lazarenko cleared it away. Now here's Sozhanov, another Muscovite from Saracens in Moscow. Swinging onto the attack. They keep great shape. Kutov, and brought the big man on. And he was another who showed out late in the day yesterday in their standout win over the United States. Now Filatov. Nice little switch of direction. You can see the confidence really flowing through this Russian team. Good counter ruck by the Kenyans. But again, Sozhanov back might have been holding on here. No, referee says carry on. Filatov. Davidov. He's a strong fella, this.
They don't do the within tackle offloads. They trust their breakdown every time. They're so supportive.
But there's a real pattern to their play. Very methodical. Sozhanov senses the opportunity to penetrate and takes some stopping too.
Even there, they don't take risks.
I think constantly Kenya having to reset their defensive line. That's been knocked on. That, well, he's given him benefit of the doubt. Might have been a case for a penalty for a deliberate knock on. Just desperation stakes from the Kenyans. They know they're hopelessly beaten here.
I'll give you some stats. 63 passes completed. Here's some good defence on the left side and drives. But straight away, they're there to clean out, to protect the ball, as they have been. 63 passes completed by the Russians, only 16 by Kenya. There's the knockdown. A few substitutions being made.
I think the ref certainly got that one right. There's always a suspicion that it might have been deliberate. Well, Filatov leaves the field, is clutching at his hip there. He's been very good. Mentioned before, no stars. Their first appearance of the last year, their first year as a core team, Ostrusko was an outstanding individual. But I think with him not there, they've really had to be more of a team, not rely on his exceptional qualities.
Crouch.
None of them have got anything striking, but as a team they come together. Davidov, solid as.
Here's Roshin now, claimed by Busham Wale. There's another sub for Kenya. Agiro sells a dummy, tries to get on the outside. Agiro, nice ball away. Well, Billy Odhiambo, of all people, one of the best in the Kenyan team, and he can't reel the pass in. This is a nightmare start to the second day for a team that, well, has set very high standards for itself over the years.
Well, they've let themselves down today in so many ways. Errors and attitude.
But isn't it good to see new teams arriving in the last couple of years, the Russians, and just to see them growing in the game?
Fabulous. And their women's team is so good. The Russian men have got reason to be proud of this effort.
Set.
Well, a little knock on there. You can't be too critical of that. Babayev.
As a first receiver, it's not how you want to you want to get the ball. A kick with defenders coming at you.
Challenging day ahead, Greg Martin. Management of the players is going to be crucial, isn't it, in these conditions?
Substitutions and tactics. Last chance for Kenya.
Well, can they salvage something? Injera really been starved of opportunities in this game. They haven't given him a millimetre. Uliach. Controlled aggression from the Russians. Excellent organisation. It's just been too much for a rather dozy effort from Kenya. Here's Amonde. And, well, that pretty much sums it up. Davidov helps himself. The Russians are coming. Here's Roshin stretching out. Good footwork too. Numbers queuing up. Gets a lovely ball away. Great support play from Davidov. He started it and he'll finish it. Scored the first, scores the last. Shutout.
We said it was Kenya's last chance, but they couldn't take it. A familiar story from this game. Errors had killed the Kenyans, and they were a show here. The inside ball, they'd normally sort that out straight away. Davidov sends it back into Roshin. He takes off. I think he goes the wrong way, then realises I'm running away from my supports. Where are they again? And who's there? Davidov. He was gobbled up in the tackle, fought hard, and then kicked on. The player of this match gets the final try, Davidov.
Well, that's a very good start to day two. As we say, important points in the Challenge Trophy at stake for these teams. They're into the semi-finals. There's the conversion. Sukin knocks it over. Final score, Russia 22, Kenya 0.
Wow, what a start for Russia, and a disappointment for Kenya.